Welcome to another podcast. I've been pretty consistent about this and proud of myself that I've been able to actually continue to do these every week, doing them live on YouTube and broadcast them out on podcast. And my name is Bruce, if you're new to this. And what we're going to be talking about is getting a job in cybersecurity and IT. That's what I talk about. And I've got some jobs here that we can talk about. Is great. So just the format real quick. What we're going to do is first we're going to talk about 3 different jobs that were offered to, opportunities that are not necessarily offered to me, but opportunities that have been sent my way that I'm going to share with you guys when these opportunities are like a week or less old. And so we're going to start off with those 3. Then we're going to go into I'm going to give you guys a snippet of how I've been able to get into remote work. And because of all this pandemic stuff that's been going on, I feel like it's a great time for us to talk about that, how to get remote work. And then we're going to open it up to topics, like any kind of thing you guys want to talk about, we'll talk about it. So let's get into this. We're going to talk about a job for a senior, a cybersecurity analyst on site at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio. Before we talk about that, you should know that I have a course. I've got actually a bunch of courses, and if you're interested in knowing how to get into cybersecurity, how to make up to 6 figures, how I've been able to do it, how to get into remote positions, how to do risk management framework, I've got free courses, I got paid courses that go pretty deep. So if you're interested in that stuff, just go to ConvoCourses.com and check it out. All right, let's get into this one. This is a job opportunity that was sent to me 2 days ago, and it is working with the Department of Defense. They require a secret clearance. This one's coming from a recruiting agency called E-Team Inc. And let's see what they're talking about here. It's a 6-month duration, so it's more likely a contracting job. So they're saying there's 2 interviews, one by phone and one is a second one is an in-person interview in Ohio. All right, so let's just kind of quickly skim over the job description. It is for KBR. KBR is seeking an experienced cybersecurity specialist to support the F-22 independent verification and validation activities. The successful candidate will utilize their experience in analyzing systems in cybersecurity engineering artifacts. Artifacts means like documents, evidence. An artifact is an evidence, documented evidence that something has been done, such as scan. Scan data might be an artifact. Artifacts used to support the assessment and authorization. So this is telling us that this is NIST risk management framework type position of advanced avionic systems and subsystems for the Air Force, life, yada yada yada, whoever it is. So this is sounding a lot like they're telling you what kinds of systems. It's going to be avionic systems. That's the computer systems that allow fighter jets to fly, and so you're going to be doing cybersecurity stuff on that. And then verification validation means like after you put the security on it, you got to make sure it works as it was designed. That's what verification in a nutshell, verification validation is. Okay, let's kind of go into the essential duties and responsibilities. So they want you to conduct a risk assessment to development, testing, and fielding of the F-22 modernization and sustainment products. Perform key cybersecurity analysis. And just in a nutshell, what this means is you'll be a part of a team that makes sure that the cybersecurity aspect of these avionic systems are meet the federal standards. That means like it has things like 2-factor authentication. It has things like auditing that's turned on. It has things like anybody who touches the system has a certain level of expertise. It's things like that. So that's kind of what you'll be doing here as far as that's what they mean by risk assessment and developing, testing, and fielding the F-22 modernization system. Okay, let's go to the next sentence here. Now I won't read all of this. I just want to give you an idea of what this job is, and then we'll go to the next job. Okay, so provide You're going to provide assessment and technical input as directed by the Joint Security Implementation Guide. And so that means, you'll have a guide, and that guidebook is guided by that guidebook is based on federal standards. So they're not just making that stuff up that's in the Security Implementation Guide. It's based off of things like FISMA. It's based off of things like the Privacy Act of 1974. It's based off of things like OMB standards, executive orders from the president. Like, there's a whole bunch of people and minds that went into the laws, and then those laws dictate what goes into the guide. And the guide will do things like say, here's all the access. Here's all the access controls. Here's the physical controls that you have to have. And it's essentially that guide's going to tell you exactly what to do for this job. All right, let's see here. Review program documentation, concept, requirements, design, manual, report. So yeah, that's pretty much typical. When you get into a job, there's a bunch of documentation that you need. And that's what's really good about this, is it's telling us they have that documentation, because I've been in organizations that don't have that documentation. It's really hard to write those things when you don't have guidance. It's really hard to write a system security plan. It's really hard to write a system, a plan of action and milestones. Sometimes you got to write their policies for them. It's just more difficult when you're writing stuff from scratch. So this is telling us that they actually have those documents. So you're building off of the documents they already have. That's great. Okay, witness functional testing, and conduct additional security testing where necessary to verify the established security requirements are implemented and sustained. Document and report the IV and V. That's IV and V is called verification and validation activities, independent validation and verification, plans, results, anomaly reports. So this is telling us that you're going to be a part of a team that not only designs the system, like the guys who actually put it together and make sure it works and functions and stuff, your administrators who are maintaining it, the engineers, but you're also going to be an integral part to the people who verify that the system still works as designed. Like, in other words, after you put the security controls, they're going to connect it to an F-22 and make sure that the system, the avionics, still work and they're not interfered with by the security features that you put on the system. That's what they're saying there. You're going to evaluate the technical security measures of the prime contractor to ensure compliance. The prime contractor sounds like is KBR. And so you're going to be on a smaller contract working with KBR. The real messed up thing about all of this is about this career field is a lot of times the larger companies are more and more relying on these smaller contractors. The reason, there's good and bad. The good thing is it's allowing smaller contractors to have to make more money. The bad thing is it's less stable for us. When you're in this field, it's just a lot less stable for us because smaller companies oftentimes won't have like medical, they won't have benefits. You'll just be what's called 1099 worker, where they're just paying you, you don't get leave, you don't get sick days, you just make a fat ass check and then you're out of there, Okay, so what are the basic qualifications? They're looking for you to have a BS, a BA, or 10 years of directly related experience. So that means you should have worked in the Department of Defense and the Air Force and maybe even avionics before. The closer your experience is to what they need, the better, is what they're saying there. DOD 8570. So 8570, they're looking for certifications. It's Security Plus certification and IAM level 2 or higher. So that's really good. They're not looking for a CISSP or anything like that. Familiarity with the DoD 8500, 8510, NIST SP 53, and risk management framework. And they're looking for an active security clearance. So if you're interested in this position, if you feel like you can you meet a lot of these qualifications, then you can contact E-Team Inc. and their number is 732-307-80 or 0836. So that's sorry. It's 732-307-0836. All right, let's go on to the next job here. And if you're just coming into this, what I'm doing today is I am first off going to read 3 different jobs that came to me very recently. And then what we're going to do is we're going to open this up to questions, Q&A if there are any questions. And is this a good one to read? Yes, this is good. Okay. So that's what we're doing. Okay, this next job is a cybersecurity engineer, and this is in Aurora, Colorado. They're looking for a secret clearance. Before we start, take a little drink. You should know that if you're wanting to go deeper into this, or if you're wanting to know how I'm able to get these awesome $78 an hour jobs, you go to ConvoCourses. You can sign up for free. It has free courses and stuff there for you to check out. Go ahead and check that out. All right, let's get into this one. So this is cybersecurity engineering job in Aurora, Colorado. We offer 2 types of benefits packages. Class 1, full of benefits, and it pays up to $61 an hour. Depends on experience. That's what DOE means, by the way. And class 2 is limited benefits, no sick leave, no holiday. So pay, basically they don't do any of that. They just give you a fat check, but you're making $78 an hour, or it depends on the experience. So it could be more or less than that. So in this case, I would, it depends. If you have a family, I would always go for any kind of packages, any kind of benefits, because the thing is, the medical in the U.S. it sucks. It's horrible. Even with insurance, it sucks. But if you've ever had third-party insurance, which I have with my family, and it's horrible. So what you can do with this one, if you're single, I would take this one because it's a fatter check, but you can go get independent insurance. The problem with independent insurance often is that their deductible is really high. So, but unless you guys know something I don't know, the ones that I've had where I had to get my own insurance, it's just not that good. As you know, the healthcare in this, and this is my personal opinion, healthcare in this country is really not good. So whenever you can get those benefits, the companies get better benefits than an individual does. That's just the nature of the beast. That's just how it is. All right. They said they are looking for an individual with a cybersecurity engineering to join the cybersecurity engineering team for cybersecurity position in information assurance, supporting the development, maintenance of custom solutions, and assessment and authorization activities. Great. So this risk management framework once again. Okay. Key responsibilities include, but are not limited to, security, compliance, and vulnerability scanning. So you're going to be doing some vulnerability scanning across multiple platforms and networks. So that means you're going to be looking at Windows systems. You're going to be looking at Linux systems and possibly Mac systems. Sorry. Had to sneeze there. I'm feeling fine, by the way. Feeling fine. Prepare for supporting and or leading security test and evaluation activities for program sell-off of security related requirements. So you're going to be part of a security testing and evaluation activity. This is something that ST&E is something I've done before. I can speak to this one. Basically, what it is you'll have a system, like a mission system, right? A mission system means it's a server, or a server with laptops, or a server with workstations, or a network. It's a mission system, meaning it has one function. It could be we gather information from these satellites, or we monitor a sunspot that's, we monitor the sun, or we monitor the moon, or whatever. Or at least speaking from my own experience doing ST&E. what I would do is I would go to the site that's doing some kind of research or something, right? This mission system. And then I would look at it, I would run a scan on it and run the scan on it. I would collect the data and say, okay, what security controls are being met, or what security controls do we need to fix? And then, is the system still working after we put the security controls on it? So those are the two things you do. You test it to make sure the controls are on there, and then you're part of the activities to make sure it's still functioning when the security controls are on there. And then you're also evaluating how well the security controls are on the system, on the mission system. So it's kind of preparing the organization, whatever the Air Force or Department of Defense or Department of Meats or whatever department it is. And then it's preparing them for a third-party assessment is what it's doing, and making sure their system still works after security controls are put on it. Okay, let's keep going here. Applying knowledge of current information assurance policies, that means security policies, as a contributor to the architecture and design of the secure solutions to the customer's needs and requirements. So the customer has a certain level of requirements that they have to meet. Requirement is like all systems must have multi-factor authentication, or all systems must have physical security, must be physically secure, must have a guard posted outside, must have tripwire outside, must have, there's all these different requirements, and those are dependent on the level of the system, the classification level and things like that of the system. And that's what the requirements are based on, and then the requirements dictate what goes in the security policies. And basically they're saying you are part of the team that is going to make sure that those security solutions are there, and point out if they're not, and work on it with the team that fixes it if it's not on there. Okay, performing hands-on technical review of custom developed code or secure coding errors. This is another thing that I've had some experience with. So this means that the organization will have developed some software for, say, analyzing the moon, the solar cycles of the moon, whatever the mission system does, right? So they developed some JavaScript. So sometimes what the organization will have is they'll have another software that they'll be able to run all the code through, and that software will be able to determine if there's any kind of vulnerabilities in the code. That's one of the ways that you'll do it. Or if you happen to be a software engineer in your background, you'll be able to just look through the code and say, okay, here's a vulnerability right here, or why are there no notes in this code, or things like that. Kind of a specialized skill right there that not a lot of people do or know. Reviewing static or binary code analysis, finding and recommending mitigations. So that's what I just said. Perform hands-on technical implementation of security controls comprised of COTS. And I don't know what FOSS is. You guys know what FOSS is? I see a couple people out there. What is FOSS? I can't remember what that is. COTS is commercial off-the-shelf products. FOSS, I don't remember what that is. As well as custom developed products. Preparing for writing and presenting trade studies, cost-benefit analysis, reports, and briefings required. Okay, so let's break this one down really quick before we go on. So, preparing for writing and presenting trade studies. So this means so what they're looking for you to do is say, okay, this organization needs a firewall, right? And they're like, okay, well, what firewall do we get? So they're saying, when they're saying look at trade studies and things like that, what you would do is you go online or go to the vendor's site, or even talk to the vendor directly and determine what firewall. First off, what can we afford, right? What kind of deal can we get? Can we get a deal where we have 3 years of their software support? Is the software still supported, right? So you don't want to get some unsupported end of life software. You want top of the line software to protect your assets. So looking at trade studies is like you're analyzing, okay, what is the requirements of our organization. You know, what is there a list of software firewalls that we can get? And then what's the cost benefit analysis? What can we afford? And then can we afford to not have a firewall? Can we afford to have an end of life firewall? Can we afford to have an inadequate firewall? Can we afford to get this high end firewall? Do we have to get something mid tier? You know, so that's what they're talking about. And then when they say reports and briefings, you would be gathering all that data, and then you'd put in a presentation. You put in like either PowerPoint, or you put it in write up a document saying, here's why we should get the Cisco ACA firewall, ASA firewall. Here's why we should get the Palo Alto firewall. It costs X amount of dollars, and it has a support life of, they're going to support us. Palo Alto is going to support us for 5 years. So that's what they're saying with this. This is a pretty typical cybersecurity engineer with a company called Geo Logistics, and it is, let's see what else they're requiring here. I'll just skim through these. They're looking for you to have a security clearance, 4 years of developing cybersecurity solutions, security authorization requirements, and security policies. This is a lot of writing for the federal government. It's a lot of writing and a lot of risk management framework, it sounds like to me. A strong understanding of security design and architecture with the ability to develop solutions to moderately complex information system compliance and security problems. All right, let's see. Hands-on technical experience, and that includes Linux system administrator, Windows system administrator, network component administrator, VMware administrator. So they're looking for you to have some documentation skills and experience with some of these areas. That's good. Good stuff. Let me skim through this. I feel like this is going a little long on this particular job, but if you're interested in this, then they're looking for you to have at least a Security Plus, preferably a CISSP, but Security Plus is fine. Desired skills, they want you to have skills with Tenable, Nessus scanning. But usually if you have some kind of scanning experience, they'll, if you know one scanner, you pretty much can figure out Tenable or whatever other scanners they have. Let me see. Experience with software assurance implementation. This is the one that's kind of, not a lot of people have this experience right here. Like actually looking at the software and figuring out where the vulnerabilities are in the software. That's not a common, most people don't. That's a real rare skill I've noticed in this field, So let's see. Experience with highly matrixed organizations, Department of Defense, but it could be, you don't have to have Department of Defense experience to do this kind of stuff. If you have a strong risk management framework background, that would be enough. Verification, validation, and accreditation. Okay. They're looking for a bachelor's degree in science or STEM. And so normally, like, they're looking for you to have a bachelor's degree in some kind of technical field and then 4 years of relevant experience. So if you had an experience in mathematics, and they say it right here, if you had experience in mathematics, then you could still get this job. If you've done the actual work in the past, then you could do it. So if you're trying to, I'm looking for the contact information here. Let me see if I can find it. All right, if you want to get this job right here, if you're interested in this, let me see if I can get a phone number, or yep, here we go. If you're looking for this job right here, here's the phone number, and I will put this in the link description below if you're interested in this position. But it is phone number 909-345-7222, and that's 909-345-7222, and that's with Geo Logistics, and that's in Aurora, Colorado. You need to be security cleared, and you need to have some background in cybersecurity engineering. All right, let's go to the next one. This is the last job we're going to talk about before we talk about remote positions. And here it is right here. And I think this one is actually a remote position. Cool. This was sent to me 2 days ago, if you're interested. And before I start, I want to let you guys know, first off, a cyber This is a privacy and compliance analyst in San Jose, and it looks like a remote position. But before I start on this, the reason why I do these is twofold. One, if you happen to be an IT guy, if you happen to be a cybersecurity person, and then also I talk about these, I break them down so that if you're trying to get into cybersecurity, if you're trying to be an IT person, you'll understand like what's the language of these opportunities, what are the requirements, what are they really saying here. So those are the two reasons I do it. And if you're interested in like going deep diving into this kind of stuff, then I have a course called ConvoCourses. You can sign up for free, ConvoCourses.com, just like it sounds, and then sign up for free, and then I've got free stuff there, and then stuff you can buy takes you way deeper. All right, let's get into this. This is for a privacy and compliance analyst. It's in San Jose, California, and our NC, North Carolina, remote. So I guess if you're in North Carolina, you can be remote. I'm not sure. Hopefully they explain that. But if you're interested in this, I would recommend calling them and figuring that out. And let's see if we have the contact information. If you are interested in this, you can contact Modus Enterprise Solutions at 631-242-3233. And this is for a privacy and compliance analyst. All right, let's talk about what they want from us in this particular position. The team. So the team, they're saying the compliance platform integration team enables policy, compliance, traceability, evidence collection, digitization, automation throughout the S&TO in support of the Cisco clients, of their Cisco clients. Okay, so their client is Cisco. That's a pretty big deal. The team consists of architects, engagement leads, developers, solution owners, and are dedicated to bring the Archer program offerings to life. Archer. Are they talking about Archer RSA? Yep, looks like they are. Minimum requirements. 2 years of professional experience in policy, privacy, and or compliance environments. So that's security compliance, that's risk management framework, that's stuff like that. If you've done a privacy impact assessment, if you've ever done initial threshold analysis on information, if you've done any of that kind of stuff, then I believe that's what they're talking about. Experience in mapping privacy and regulation requirements to technical control standards. And okay, let me just break this down real quick. What they mean by this is that, so what it is you have a policy, and that policy that policy is expressed through technical controls. A technical control is like, how do you log into the system? Do you use a username and password? And then how long is the password, right? The policy will say you have to have a username and password. The password has to be 14 characters long, has to have uppercase, lowercase, numbers. And then technical controls means that's what you have to implement. So mapping the privacy regulations, the regulations are like high level. They don't specifically tell you exactly what to do, but the technical controls are very specific. So we're mapping the requirements to the actual controls that are implemented. All right, Archer, RSA tool experience. All right. So Archer is how do I explain? Archer is like a database that collects data through, it can collect risk management framework controls. It can collect all kinds of controls from different security compliance frameworks. It also can collect a scan data. Like if you have a Nessus scan, it can collect that data and put it into one big database where it'll allow you to see, okay, how many criticals do I have? How many critical vulnerabilities? And it'll put them in like a bar chart and into pie charts and kind of stuff like that. That's what Archer does in a nutshell. I mean, that's really not a very good explanation of what Archer is, but kind of what it is. All right. Knowledge of ISO, NIST, or SOC and SOC 2 and information security frameworks. So these are all different. These are different security frameworks. This ISO is an international standard that EU, Canada, and Europe uses. NIST is our U.S. standard. That's what we use. And then SOC is what banks use. So, and what a security framework is like it's like a bunch of requirements that you have to do for security on very important information. And it's things like do you have a second site for your system? What happens if you have an earthquake? Your system is on a fault line in California, in San Diego. What happens if this site goes down? Do you have an alternate site? Or another one would be, do you have adequate documentation for all your systems? Do you have a hardware list, a software list for all your systems? Do you have a baseline? Those are the kinds of things that SOC 2, NIST, and ISO cover. And if you know one of these, you pretty much know all of these because they all kind of talk about the same, cover the same thing. There's a lot of overlap with this standard, with each one of those. Knowledge of GDPR, I believe that's privacy shield, and all of these other ones, which I don't even know what these are. Ability to build strong relationships with multiple stakeholder clients. Always important with security type stuff, because as a system security person, like a lot of times our hardest job is talking to people. And why that's so hard is because you're talking with very technical people who are in the weeds, who know how to implement Active Directory throughout an environment. And then you're also talking to these high level people who are like managing multi-million-dollar budgets. So you have to be, as a cybersecurity security compliance person, you are like a liaison between these super technical people and these people who are not technical, but they are the people holding the purse strings. And you've got to translate the language back and forth to make sure that the requirements of the organization get done. You're not the one who's calling the shots, right? That's the upper management, C-level people. That's the actual client, the customer up top. They're telling you, hey, we want multi-factor authentication throughout our entire environment, and we want it in 15 days. And then meanwhile, you're having to talk back down to the people who actually make it happen, the smart guys who are doing Active Directory and they know how to implement it. They're like, we can't do it in 15 days. Like, here's why. And they'll break down all the technical reasons why you can't do it on 1,500 systems in 15 days. This is not possible. So your job is to manage expectations. Manage expectations. So you're bringing the C-level managers down and saying, sir or ma'am, here's why we're going to need 6 months to do it, but we're going to do it in a phase-based approach. And then you translate what the technical people said to the C-level managers. And then the C-level managers are like, look, it's got to be less than 6 months. Can it be 4 months? And you go back to so that's kind of like what your job is. Building strong relationships means being able to communicate those kinds of things to throughout the organization. Okay, I feel like we're taking too much time on this. I'm going to skip all of this stuff and let's just get to desired skills here. They want you to know how to use Archer RSA tool experience. They want you to know how to use the tools in Archer. They want legal and or privacy regulatory obligations experience. Wow. So basically, I want you to know a lot about privacy regulations. So that's a big one. Familiarity with enterprise business processes, knowledge of IT security practices, knowledge of ISO, NIST, SOC, GDRP, which is it's either Europe's or UK's. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but it's either Europe's or UK's privacy standard it's pretty involved from what I understand, and other frameworks. Okay, what else do they need you to know? Analytical, attention to detail, excellent interpersonal skills, always good in this career path. If you're interested in this position, then what you need to do is contact these people at Modus Enterprise Solutions, and their number is 631-248-3233. And if you're interested in knowing how in the world is Bruce able to get all of these opportunities, then you can go to ConvoCourses.com, and I have free courses there. You can contact me directly if you sign up and stuff. So that's it with this section. We're going to talk about a little something else, guys. I want to talk to you about, and if you have any questions, now's the time to ask them. But I see about 8 people watching here. But what I want to talk to you guys about is I actually had a friend of mine contact me and said, he said, "Hey, Bruce, like, you told me that you were working remotely, and I'm trying to work remotely, and how do I do that?" And from what I understand, he says, you've been doing this for quite a long time. You've been doing this for 5-6 years. How do you do it? Here's how I did it. I broke everything down to him. First off, I told him that he was the one who inspired me to do this, because years and years ago, him and I were working at, I don't work there anymore, so Northrop Grumman. And we parted ways, and he went to go get a job. I went to go get a job, and he was working remotely, and I was like, "What? You can work remotely doing this? Making how much?" And him and I were talking and stuff, and I was just blown away. This was years and years ago. And then I started looking for jobs. And in my search, my process for looking for jobs and working remotely, I learned a bunch of stuff. I learned about the field. And everything I've learned, by the way, I made a course about it. If you go to ConvoCourses.com, sign up for free, you'll see a course called Remote Work. And I break down exactly, line by line, how I did it, my mindset, that what's worked for me all these years to get these remote positions. And I've literally turned down many different remote jobs making a lot of money because I want a specific. Now I can pick and choose because this method that I use. But what I want to do is show you the main tenets of this method that I use. So first off, the market lends itself to certain skill sets. And the skill sets that you see here on the screen, if you have a CISSP, if you have a CCNP, if you have a CCNA, right? A CCNA is a Cisco Certified Network Associate, and a CCNP, Cisco Certified Network Professional. And then there's many different tiers and types that you can go into. But these two certifications, and regardless, there's a lot of IT guys that talk crap about these certifications. But let me tell you something, man. Once you have this on your resume, like, nothing anybody can tell you. Like, it's so marketable. These two certifications are so marketable that you can find way more remote jobs if you have any one of these. Another position that lends itself to working remotely, there's a lot of remote jobs that do it, is what I mean, is network engineering. A lot of those you can do remotely. Palo Alto, if you know the Palo Alto firewall in particular, there's a lot of jobs that are so, they're really trying to bring people in. So they're okay with you having flexible work or working from home permanently. So another one is SCA, which is Security Control Assessors. But the thing about assessors, auditors, is that they usually require a lot of travel. So they're going to pay you a lot. You're going to be able to work remotely. But you're going to have to travel, because they basically what they'll do is they'll have you travel to different sites. So a lot of times the travel is like, it's like 35%, 40%, 50%, 70%. Like, it's a lot of travel for those jobs. Cybersecurity. If you're a cybersecurity professional, this job has it's surprisingly a lot of remote positions that you can do. All right. Another thing I told my buddy was that, and I'm telling you guys something I told one of my very good friends. So I hope you appreciate this, because this is real knowledge that if you want more stuff, please go to ConvoCourses.com. Go ahead and check it out. It walks you through all of this stuff. And if you buy it, you can contact me directly. I'll help you with your resume. And I always add stuff to that course. Now, I can't promise you that it's only going to be as cheap as it is, because as I add to it, it gets more and more hours, and it's just worth more. All right. So another thing you can do to look for remote jobs is go to LinkedIn.com. And it allows you to search by only remote jobs. So you go to LinkedIn.com. You type in your keyword, whatever job you're doing. Like, it doesn't have to be CISSP or CCNP or CCNA. It could be whatever field you're in. If you're in the healthcare industry doing IT, if you're a nurse, if you're a CNA, if you're whatever job you do, you put that in there, and you just put remote for the location, and you can search by remote locations. Dice does the same thing, but Dice calls it work from home. So if you go to dice.com, first off, you have to have an account with dice.com, right? And if you take my course, I'll tell you how to set it up, like what to put in your resume, stuff like that. But dice.com, and you type in work from home, and it will only look for jobs for work from home positions. So dice.com, really good for IT, one of the best for IT, actually. So see, this is where you actually put in, it'll ask you work from home. You say yes, you check yes right there. That's what that says. I don't know if you can see that. Looks kind of, let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger. No, it's not going to get bigger from there. Yeah, this is not going to get much bigger, guys. I apologize. But so if you go to dice.com, on the main search page, there's like a bunch of fields. There's like, what kind of employment type do you want? Do you want, what date can you, what posted dates for the jobs you want? Stuff like that, right? There's one that says work from home, and then you just check yes, and then it'll only give you, work from home positions. Okay. There's another good site called virtualvocations.com. This one's really good. Go there. Really, it's okay. Like, it gathers a lot of stuff you wouldn't normally see on Dice, or you wouldn't normally see on LinkedIn. So some jobs buried on their virtual vocations. But the thing about virtual vocations is that you got to pay for it. Like, it has a membership fee. I think it's $45 a year or something like that. Something like that. I don't remember. It's $15 a month. I don't remember. But I've had that for a while, and I really liked it. It found a lot of jobs that I can't say that I actually got a job from there. Monster.com is where I got a few of my remote positions, so you might want to check that one out. Google has an incredible job search feature. If you go to Google and type your key, whatever job you do, and then type jobs, it will come up with something that looks a little bit like this. Jobs. And then a little unknown feature that people don't talk about is if you can actually go into locations on there, and then you just type remote, and it'll only find remote positions. And the thing about this site, okay, first off, it has a lot of false positives, so it's not perfect. But what you do is, once you look for those jobs, you just go and apply for each one. What it does is Google is aggregating jobs from Indeed.com, from LinkedIn, from CareerJet, from all these different job sites. It grabs them and puts them in their database, right? And then what you do is you just say, you can type in location that you want the job, you can type in, and it allows you to put in remote work. I don't know if I put that in there. Nope, I didn't. All right. Another thing, let me see, what else? I talked about my profile and stuff. And let me see, I think that's about it. Yeah, so that's some good stuff for you guys to check out. I hope this was helpful. Appreciate everybody who's on this live. If you guys have any questions, I see the Wallace live here. says, hello, Bruce. I see Corey Williams. How you doing, man? He says, nice. Just came across your channel. Well, I hope you joined. Corey, if you have any questions, man, this is a great time to ask. Or if you want to talk about what's going on, anything, man, the weather, whatever you want to talk about. And then Willard, how you doing? He says, blessings. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, guys, for participating. Appreciate everybody. Appreciate all my signups. It's really been great. Appreciate everybody. And I think that's it. I think I'm going to end it on this 45-minute note here. 45 minutes we've been talking, and I will repost all of this information out if you missed this. And like I said again, if you're interested in having a deeper dive in all of this, go to ConvoCourses.com and we can talk a little bit further about it. We can have a more in-depth conversation. Appreciate everybody. That's it for this one.